Quantz Quickie from the classic Baroque music instruction on playing the flute. Section 3 of the use of the tongue with the word diddle, or the so-called double tongue. Part 1. The double tongue is used only for the very quickest passage work. Although easy to explain orally and simple for the ear to grasp, it's difficult to teach in writing. The word diddle, which is articulated, and it should consist of 2 syllables. In the second, however, no vowel is present. Hence it must be pronounced diddle rather than diddle or dilly, suppressing the vowel which should appear in the second syllable. But the dull must not be articulated with the tip of the tongue, like D. Section 3, Part 2. I have indicated in the first section of the chapter how the D must be formed. I refer you to this section here. To articulate diddle, first say D, and while the tip of the tongue springs forward to the palate, quickly draw the middle portion of the tongue downward a little on both sides, away from the palate, so that the wind is expelled on both sides obliquely between the teeth. This withdrawal of the tongue will then precede the stroke of the second syllable, dull, but it can never be articulated without the preceding D. If you pronounce diddle quickly several times in a row, you'll hear how it should sound better than I can express it in writing. Section 3, Part 3. In its use, diddle is the opposite of tiri. In tiri, the accent lies on the second syllable. In diddle, it falls on the first, and always comes on the note on the downbeat, the so-called good note. Section 3, Part 4. If you wish to learn how to execute diddle, you must first place several notes on the same pitch without moving your fingers and in the middle register. For this kind of tonguing, you will be a little prejudicial to tone or embouchure at the beginning. You can use the following notes at the beginning, articulating diddle while you blow as indicated beneath the notes.
Section 3, Figure 1.
Practice this example until you can produce all the notes distinctly, then add a few more notes.
Figure 2.
And when you've mastered this, take some notes step by step.
Figure 3. Figure 4. Figure 5. Figure 6.
Part 5. You must be very careful that the tongue does not anticipate the fingers, as frequently happens in the beginning. You must rather seek always to hold on to the first note with the D a little, to make the second with dull slightly shorter. For through the quick withdrawal of the tongue, the dull receives a sharper stroke. Section 3, Part 6. I hope that the above examples will be sufficient for the mastery of this tongue stroke. The following ones should show you how you can apply it in all sorts of passage work. Part 7. When the passage work continues with notes of the same value and without large leaps, the first note on the downbeat always receives D, and the second, dull, etc.
Figure 7.
Section 3, Part 8. If a rest takes the place of the first note, the 2 notes that follow must be tipped with T. The others, however, again receive D.
Figure 8.
Section 3, Part 9. If the first 2 notes are the same, the first 3 must be tipped with T. If the last 2 are the same, the third is tipped with D and the fourth with T.
Figure 9. Figure 10.
If the last note of 4 makes an ascending leap, it can also be tipped with T.
Figure 11.
Section 3, Part 11. If the first of the quick notes is tied to a long note preceding it, or if a dot is substituted for it, you must express it with a breath from the chest, saying he instead of D.
Figure 12 and 13.
You can also tip the two notes after the dot with T.
Figure 14.
Section 3, Part 12. In the following examples, I will try to cite the most important types of passage work that require a change of tonguing. But since it is impossible to set down all the passages that might occur, I must leave others to the individual reflection of the player. Section 3, Part 13. From the examples in Figure 15 to 24 and Figures 1 to 11, you can see that occasions for changes in tonguing are produced by extended ascending or descending leaps, by rests, or by two notes on the same pitch, where T must also be repeated.
Figure 15. Figure 16. Figure 17. Figure 18. Figure 19. Figure 22. Figure 23. Figure 24. Table 5, Figure 1. Figure 2. Figure 3. Figure 4. Figure 5. Figure 6. Figure 7. Figure 8. Figure 9. Figure 10. Figure 11.
Section 3, Part 14. In three equal notes, whether they occur as triplets or appear in 6/8 and other similar meters, it is to be observed that the first two notes always receive diddle and the third receives D, whatever the intervals may be.
Figure 12. Figure 13.
If, however, the second note makes a very large descending leap, the first must be given D and the last two diddle.
Figure 14.
If a rest takes the place of the first note, the two following notes are given diddle.
Figure 15.
Section 3, Part 15. The first note of each figure, whether it consists of 3, 4, or 6 notes, must always be held a little to keep the movement of the tongue and fingers in accord, and so that each note receives its proper time. Section 3, Part 16. 4 or more quick notes that are repeated may serve as a test of whether you're practicing the double tongue correctly, that is, of whether the second note is being tipped just as sharply as the first. If this is not the case, you cannot execute roulade brilliantly or vivaciously enough.